And then I'll just have to, okay, great, we're going live, and I just have to block the video to make sure it doesn't bounce back and echo to us. Okay. And then I'll just, great. All right, that's done. So, yes, lovely, wonderful, very inspiring letter. I didn't even have a chance to read it all, but Krishna Bhamini wrote this letter on hearing Rupanuga Prabhu's reading about the Vivida Gorala with us in Krishna book. And she said, wonderful discussion. So good to see and hear Rupanuga Prabhu. I was certainly one of those students in his class. I remember a lot. Rupanuga Prabhu, you did have a large framed picture of Krishna. It was Murli Manohar. It was the first picture I had ever seen of Krishna. For a long time, I only noticed the waterfalls, not Krishna. But I loved these classes. It was 2 nights a week in the student union. I still have my exam. I will
Oh,
post,
that's cute.
I will post it when I return to Oregon from California. I have kept it all these years as it means so much to me. Rupanuga Prabhu taught us the Prabhupada step there. Also, we would discuss for a half an hour, then have kirtan, then read and discuss some more. Okay, how did he do that? We'd discuss for half an hour, have kirtan, then read and discuss some more. So he made sounds like he made it a lot of fun. Um, and
Mhm.
he always distributed simply wonderfuls to us at the end of the class.
Mhm.
Well, who wouldn't want to attend a class like that?
Well, it was such an era.
When Srila Prabhupada came and I saw him and heard him speak, this is when they brought Prabhupada to the University of Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Srila Prabhupada came and I saw him and heard him speak, I felt immediately he was the captain of the ship or the general, and I wanted to be on his team. I remember the student who, in a challenging way, asked Srila Prabhupada if he was happy. Prabhupada paused and didn't answer right away. He said, will you accept my answer if I tell you? The student was surprised by this and deflated. He said, yes, I will accept your answer. Then Srila Prabhupada moved his head from side to side and quietly replied,
Oh, so
yes,
adorable.
yes, I am happy.
So
Prabhu-
adorable.
Rupanuga Prabhu was our first guide to Krishna consciousness, and I am eternally indebted to him. Praying for his welfare in Krishna consciousness always, Krishna Bhamani Dasi. So for me, it's like balm on my heart to hear
Mhm.
the words of a grateful god sister or god brother to to the first person who introduced them to Krishna consciousness, to hear their gratitude, because I want to be infected with the mentality of gratitude. So I need to hear from others who are grateful so that I can expand my own gratitude. That's the kind of association I'm looking for. Grateful devotees, because I want to become more grateful myself. Does that sound reasonable?
Well, I think it's a tremendously important thing to pursue because, as far as I've seen in recent involvement, the tendency is to kind of bang on about everything that's wrong or that's gone wrong rather than,
Yes.
focusing on all the things we got right and all the things that were marvelous and all the things that we've clung on to through thick and thin, etc., which is, so much more important of a way to lean
Yes.
in, lean into that.
Hmm.
Life's too short to still be crying over the spilt milk, or what I'm saying. Anyway, that's
I
my
know what you're saying because I'm one of those people that still, comes under those modes and notices all the things that don't seem to get addressed or swept under the rug or forgotten or neglected and I mean, and you can develop a whole mindset around that, and that's not a very happy place to be.
Don't worry, Gaura, we'll chase you with the kitchen broom.
Thank you. I
Make sure you're
appreciate
on track.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to leave a message, but Orion Prabhu, I'm inviting you to please come and read about Govardhan Hill with us in Nectar of Instruction.
And
Be
Arjuna
there,
Prabhu is
be
here.
square. Nanda, our god sister Nanda Patni is waiting for you, and Arjuna has come all the way from New Zealand.
Oh,
So, oh, and even Mohammed has just arrived now. Wow.
okay.
Salam alaikum, Mohammed. Al Akbar.
All
Hare
that
Krishna.
okay. Yeah,
Thank you so
okay.
much. Thank you for coming. Where are you coming from?
Birmingham, England.
From England, I see. And we have I have a god sister here from England, Nanda Patni. She's just coming back in a second. What part of England are you from, Mohammed?
Birmingham.
From Birmingham.
Yes.
Very good. Nanda Patni, do you know where Birmingham is? She just had to take a break for a moment. And Arjuna, you're here from New Zealand, aren't you? He may be busy driving his vehicle.
Yeah, I'm at work again.
Okay, thanks a lot for tuning in, Arjuna, Prabhu. All right, I'm going to start the prayers to the six Goswamis just to get into the mood of the six Goswamis. And we'll just put it on the page here. Have you ever sung this song before, Mohammed, the prayers to the six Goswamis?
No, but I've heard a lot of songs. So
Okay.
this one.
So in the Islamic tradition, is an imam like a holy man? Imam?
Yes, like of sheikhs.
Sheikhs are like the holy men in Islam.
Yes, yeah,
So Srila Rupa Goswami is one of the sheikhs,
yeah.
in the Krishna tradition, and this is a beautiful song he wrote. So I'll just sing through a couple of verses of it, and then we'll begin reading the text. Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Praro Premamritambo Nidhi Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Baro Bhuvi Bhuvo Barabahantarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Nana, this is verse 2. Nana Shastra Vicharanai Kanipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajana Andena Mattalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Gauranga Gunanu Varnanavido Shraddha Samridhyanvito Papota Panikrintano Tanubritam Govinda Ganamritai Anandam Buddhivardhanaikanipuno Kaivalya Nistarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. So let's see what the translation is. This is a beautiful song written by Srinivasacharya. I'll read the first translation, and then Nanda Patni, then Mohammed can read the third, and maybe Arjuna is too busy driving, so I'll read the last one. Okay, so the first translation is I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians, because they are not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. Nandapatni.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they're honored all over the three worlds, and they're worth taking shelter of because they're absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna.
Thank you. Mohammed, would you like to try reading the third one, please?
Oh, I don't know if I'm able to pronounce some of the names, so
You can skip out all the names and just go to who are very much enriched. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, who are very much enriched. And continue, please. I skipped to the fourth line. They're very much enriched.
Okay. The fourth line. I'll try then. I'll try.
I'm just skipping out the names for you to make it simple. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis. I'm missing out on the name. Then I'm going to the fourth line where you can continue, who are very much enriched. Please continue.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri
Who are very much enriched. Okay, you can try to pronounce the names if you like.
I'm trying, yeah.
I'll say them for you. Namely,
Okay.
Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and then you please continue, who are very much enriched.
So I'm on the fourth line. Oh yeah, they are very much enriched in understanding of Lord Chaitanya, and they are thus expert in narrating these transcendental qualities. They can purify all conditioned souls from the reactions of their sinful activities by pouring upon them transcendental songs about Govinda. As such, they are very expert in increasing the limits of the ocean of transcendental bliss, and they are the saviors of the living entities from the devouring mouth of liberation. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just going to jump ahead to let's see here. This is going to be, let's see, what verse is it? I thought in these prayers, I thought that Govardhan Hill is mentioned. Is it not, Nandapal?
No,
Maybe
I don't
not.
think it is. No, it's the banks of the Jamuna and
Right. Okay, that's fine. We'll just
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to the first. Oh no, yeah, number 8.
Is-
I
is
offer
it-
my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, who were chanting very loudly everywhere in Vrindavan shouting,
Yeah.
Queen of Vrindavan, Radharani, O Lalita, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you all now? Are you just on the hill of Govardhan? Or are you under the trees on the bank of the Jamuna? Where are you? These were their moods in executing Krishna consciousness. Okay, so that takes us to the actual text. Can everyone see the text on the screen, text 9?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll do the Sanskrit, and if anyone else would like to try to chant after, they certainly may do that. Okay, Vaikuntha. I used to have these all memorized like 45 years ago, so I just trying to brush the dust off. Vaikuntha Jani Tovaram. No, it's a different melody. Vaikuntha Jani Tovaram Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad. Vrindaran yang udara pani ramanat tatrapi govardhanaha. Radha kundam ihapi gokula pate premamrita plavanat. Kuryad asya virajato giritate sevam vivekina kaha. Did you want to try Nanda Patni?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else before I go to the synonyms? Okay, I'll go to the synonyms. Vaikuntat means then Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, Janitaha, because of birth, Vara, better, Madhupuri, the transcendental city known as Mathura, Tatra Api, superior to that, Rasa Utsavat, because of the performance of the Rasa Lila, Vrinda Aranyam, the forest of Vrindavan, Udarapani, of Lord Krishna, Ramanat, because of various kinds of loving pastimes, Tatra Api, superior to that, Govardhana, Govardhan Hill, Radhakundam, a place called Radhakund, Iha Api, superior to this, Gokula Pate, of Krishna, the master of Gokul, Prema Amrita, with the nectar of divine love, Apla Vanat, because of being overflooded, Kuryat, would do, Asya, of this Radhakund, Virajataha, situated, Giritate, at the foot of Govardhan Hill, Sevam, service, Viveki, who is intelligent, Na, not, Kaha, who. So Mohammed, I'm not sure exactly how much you're familiar with this book called the Nectar of Instruction or Sri Upadeshamrita, but it was compiled roughly 530 years ago by this chief associate, this great sadhu or holy man known as Srila Rupa Goswami. And he's been taking us through, up till now, 9 verses. There's 11 in total, to varying degrees of deeper spiritual understanding. So now with this verse, he's taking us into the spiritual world. So I'll read the verse itself, and then Nanda Patni, should we read one paragraph each after that?
Oh, sure.
Okay. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura, Puri, is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, because of Krishna's Rasa Lila pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna, and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema, or love, of the Lord of Gokul, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kund? which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill. Nandapatni, please continue.
The spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared at Mathura. The interior forests of Vrindavan are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, Dwadashavana, such as Talavan, Madhavan, Bahulavan, which are famous for various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavan forest is considered superior to Mathura. But superior to these forests is the divine Govardhan Hill, because Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Vraj, from the torrential rains sent by the angry Indra, king of the demigods. It's also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends the cows with his cowherd friends. And there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaged in loving pastimes with her. Radha Kund is at the foot of Govardhan. Radha Kund, at the foot of Govardhan, is superior to all because it's there that love of Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radha Kund because this place is the site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs between Krishna and Radharani, Rati Vilas.
Wow, there's a lot in that paragraph.
Yeah, I mean, even looking on the map, I always didn't realize that Radha Kund was, close to Govardhan there. And that it's actually kind of set apart a little bit from the forests, isn't it?
Yes, let me take off my background photo here. How do I do that? Background and okay, to none. Good. Because over the years, and I don't know, I guess I've gone maybe 10, 12 times to Vrindavan. So I got this one book called Madhurya Dham.
Madhurya Dham.
Madhurya Dham, excuse me. It's a guide to Govardhan. And inside it is this map of, I don't know, I can't see it.
Radha Kund, yeah.
Map of Radha Kund.
Yeah, Radha Kund, and then there's a kind of bridge going across a canal. Shyam-Kund, of course. But where is the hill in connection with all of that? It's funny, I always think of Shyam-Kund and Radha Kund as being kind of quite almost in the, not city of Vrindavan, but in the town of Vrindavan, but it isn't. It's away from the town.
Yeah, I don't know how many kilometers away it is.
Yeah.
But I have enough books on it. This is another one I got. Who did this one? It's from the Bhakti Ratnakar by Narahari Chakravarti Thakur. It's called Mathura Mandala Parikram.
Oh, yeah.
I've not read any of these books. I'm ashamed to say I've had them for years and years. And the one I was hoping to dip into tonight is on Govardhan Hill.
Oh, wow. Who did that?
By Rajashekar Prabhu.
Gosh.
And it's a beautiful, like, which one is this? This is Sunset at Radha Kund. It's a picture.
Yeah.
Filled with nectar. Good. Okay. I'm just curious to know, Mohammed, I remember you contacting me some days ago, or somebody contacted me about you. Who is your contact over there in Birmingham in Krishna consciousness that invited you to contact me for these sessions? Which devotee?
Varieties, yeah. I was scrolling through Telegram, and I noticed Unvax Hare Krishna, and because
Oh,
I'm not vaccinated myself, so I was looking for,
congratulations.
yeah, and it's good to see there's more people, don't believe in this COVID vaccine, because I
Okay.
noticed there's a lot of Christians talking about it, but never seen because I'm a Muslim and I've never seen many Muslims talking about this, and
Uh-huh.
that, yeah, and it's good to see some Hare Krishnas, you
Uh-huh.
know, onto that as well.
Which part of England are you from, Nandapatni? Mohammed's from Birmingham.
I'm from London.
London. Yeah, there's a vegetarian restaurant called Govinda's on Soho Square, isn't there? Is it still open? Is it?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, because I might take a visit down to London and might go there, because I've been a vegetarian since about 9 years.
Good for you.
Yeah,
That's great. Now you can take it to the next level and become a Krishnatarian. That's when we offer our vegetarian food to the Lord and it becomes blessed, it becomes consecrated, karma free. Because even if we're eating vegetarian food, we're still taking the life of those vegetables. But when they're offered to the Lord, then there's no sin because it's been prepared for Him. And the Lord, according to the Vedic scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord only accepts foods from the categories of fruits, grains, vegetables, dairy products, nuts, beans, and seeds. So you're definitely on the right track.
yeah. I've been a vegetarian since watching Earthlings video.
Uh-huh. Great.
Yeah.
So you're not directly in touch with any Hare Krishna devotees in England, are you? Or you are?
Yes, I am. Since this COVID started, I've been
Uh-huh.
to a Hare Krishna temple in Birmingham, and
Okay.
because I was wondering, because I refuse to go vegan, but I'm a vegetarian,
Uh-huh.
and I just wondered where the Hare Krishnas get their milk from, because being that the Hare Krishnas don't believe in taking a life, and because there are some
Right.
dairy farms which involve slaughter as well. So I
Right.
wondered where the Hare Krishnas got their milk from. Then I learned about
Yes.
ahimsa.
You can go to Letchmore Heath, Hertfordshire, and that's where George Harrison of the Beatles donated a beautiful property. How many acres is Bhaktivedanta Manor in Nandapatni? Do you know? Is it about 20 acres, something like
No,
that?
no, it's about 50, 55. They bought an extra 50 acres.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
And they have
So,
a big Goshala there.
right, we have, I think, close to 20 cows there where we get pure milk from, Mohammed. So I highly recommend you please visit Bhaktivedanta Manor in am I saying it right? Hertfordshire?
Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire. Letchmore Heath. And I'm
That's where the ahimsa milk comes from. You seem to know about ahimsa milk, Mohammed. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, apparently one of our sisters last week on this thread was saying how the devotees in that particular temple, they distribute that ahimsa milk up north, but I don't know quite what their circuit is, but that is one of the kind of tenets of our religious practice, if you will, is this cow protection.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like our mother, and the bull is like our father. So they're sacred animals. I mean, ultimately, all animals are sacred, but especially the cow and bull. They should never be butchered because they're here. We're meant to have a symbiotic relationship with them because our mother, the cow, nourishes us, and our father, the bull, can pull the plow. He can pull a bullock cart up to 20 kilometers in a day filled with hay and grains and beans and whatever. If you depend on the bull, then you don't have to depend on bombing the Middle East to steal their oil.
Oh no. Mm. We're all
Yeah,
human at the end of the day, innit?
that's
We're all
right.
human. Mm.
And we have Madhavi Devi Dasi here, and she's from Arizona, and she has her own ahimsa farm where she has a few cows, and her and her daughter protect cows and get their milk. So thank you for joining us, Madhavi. And thank you, Tejas Prabhu, for coming as well. My obeisances to you both and to Arjuna. Great. So we're going to continue reading. So it's your turn now, Mohammed, if you would like to read. If you have problems with any of the words, we'll help you out. Don't worry about it. Let
Shall
me
I
just.
skip? Let somebody else read it.
Oh, sorry. Say again.
Shall I skip and let somebody else read it?
No. Practice makes perfect.
No, I
So
think I'll let somebody else read it.
okay, if you prefer. So after you, it is who's next after you? Madhavik, are you able to read? I don't think Arjuna is. He's busy in his vehicle.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
driving again.
Sorry?
I'm driving again.
Okay. So yes, Madhavi, can you read?
yeah, I can read.
Okay.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya-lila, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the area of Rajabhumi, he could not at first find the location of Radhakund. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually searching for the exact location of Radhakund. Finally, he found the holy spot, and there was a small pond there. He took his bath in that pond and told his devotees that the actual Radhakund was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotees, headed first by the 6 Goswamis, such as Rupa and Raghunath Das. Presently, there is a large lake known as Radhakund there. Srila Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radhakund because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. Who then would give up Radhakund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. The importance of Radhakund, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnav sampradayas, nor can persons uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radhakund. Thus, Radhakund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Thank you. That was a really short that was a really short chapter. I mean, it's jam packed with so much information, but it's only one. It looks like 2 paragraphs long. Oh, and I lost that. Where did that go? I can't believe it. Stop share. All you have to do is hit the wrong button on here, and everything is lost. So, Nandapatni, would you like to make any comment on what we just read?
I mean,
I've
there's
got lost.
sorry, I was muted. There are 2 levels to this. One is the actual physical place in India where Krishna appeared, and he had these intimate pastimes. And in this verse, it's elaborating on this specific holy place called Govardhana. And then the 2 lakes or ponds, which are close to Govardhana, at the base of Govardhana, where Radha and Krishna had these pastimes. So the physical nature is being described, as well as the significance of the more esoteric understanding about the pastimes, although it's not being hugely elaborated on, but it is implying that this really is the most holy of holies as far as the Vaishnavas are concerned.
Yes. So, Mohammed, it's my prayer for you that by the grace of Lord Krishna, that you will hook up with some devotees there in England, and they will take you to Vrindavan, which is roughly, let's see, Tejas Prabhu, he made innumerable trips between New Delhi and Vrindavan. So, do you remember? I think it's under 4 hours, right, Nandapatni, to go from New Delhi to Vrindavan. It's under 4 hours. If you take
Depends how you're traveling.
Yeah, if you take the Rajdhani Express, that's quick. If you take a taxi, that's quick. Uh, Tejas Prabhu, do you have a ballpark figure? 3.5 hours? Can you recollect? I don't want to engage you in speaking too much if it's inconvenient for you. When were you last in Vrindavan, Madhavi?
Quite a few years ago.
Okay.
30 years ago or something.
How's your body healing from the fall? Okay.
Oh, I'm getting there. Yeah. Sleeping a lot more though. I missed a few days here because of it.
Oh wow.
I just
Because
fell asleep in the afternoon waiting to log in.
yeah, that's okay.
It's
Arjuna, have
like
you been to Vrindavan, Arjun? Govardhan Hill?
Yeah, we went in 2014.
Oh, great. I think it's about 3.5 hour drive, something like that, roughly.
Yeah, 4 hours
Yeah.
or something like that sounds about right. But
Right.
a long time ago.
So yeah, I wish that for everyone that we could all meet and in Vrindavan, Govardhan, and Radhakund and go on a parikram together. So I also have with me this evening a book by our godbrother Rajesh Shekhar Prabhu. It's an entire pictorial essay book on Radhakund as well. And I have one on Vrindavan as well. And I have another book just called Radhakund Parikram.
Oh, you've
So,
got such a library.
no, I have an extensive library, but I hardly read, I'm ashamed to say. But that's why I started this group, so I would get myself back in the habit of reading. So I also, unless anyone has any objections, I have a commentary on this verse by Srila Prabhupada's dear friend, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami. And I was just speaking with Rupanuga Prabhu, and he was telling me that it was Prabhupada's desire that preachers from all over the world would come to Mayapur. That's why he was inviting Srila Sridhar Maharaj to come and reside with him in Mayapur, so that he could invite all of his preachers from around the world to come and hear from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He said that Prabhupada did a very loving kirtan as Srila Sridhar Maharaj arrived at the GBC meetings. I think it was 75 or 76, and just showered him with so much affection. So since this is a really brief purport tonight, I pulled up this other commentary that I have here, and with your permission, I would like to enter into it. Is that all right with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
no complaints. All right, so this is translated here. Because Sri Krishna appeared there, Mathura is considered to be spiritually superior to Vaikuntha. Greater than Mathura is the forest of Vrindavan, because this was where the Rasa Leela pastimes of the Lord took place. Govardhan Hill is considered to be superior to Vrindavan, because Krishna performed wonderful pastimes there and raised it with his hand. However, Radhakund is superior to Govardhan, because it is brimming with the nectar of divine love for the Lord of Gokul. Which intelligent person will not render service to this place, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan? Would you like to begin the illumination, Nandapatni?
Okay. In his Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami leaps from Vaikuntha in one stride to Mathura, where everything is available in a very clear and substantial way. In one stride, he comes to the Krishna conception of Godhead. But in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami has filled in the gap for us. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopakumara begins from the lowest stage of devotion, gradually making progress through different levels. And at last, he comes to the Krishna conception. According to the gradation of consciousness in its development from provincial to universal, we may find ourselves in so many different planets or planes of existence. You want me to
Thank
go
you. Madhavi, would you like to read the next paragraph?
Uloka is where we are, the world of our experience, the world of our sense perception. It is a peculiar place where we have free choice. Other places are only meant for us to enjoy or suffer our good or bad deeds. But in this human species, in Bhuloka, we can take an independent step. In other places, more or less, we have no independence. Bhuva is the mental sphere. The effect of our mental acquisition takes us to our present position of experience. It is not by accident that we are here in this world of our experience. We have acquired such a position by our previous karma, and the area of our previous karma is called Bhuva. This physical sphere is only an outcome of that mental sphere. The present world of experience is the product of our previous mental impulses.
Any reflection from you on what you just read, Madhavi? Anything stand out from that paragraph?
Well, I was just trying to imagine what he's saying here about how it's a reflection of our mental sphere.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to understand that. I can't really speak on it, but that's what stood out to me.
Bhuva is referring to,
the mental sphere.
yeah.
So, yeah, I was just reading chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita this afternoon. Actually, that whole chapter elaborates on this in particular because it talks about how karma is created under the three modes of material nature because of our engagement of our senses, which includes the mind, namely bhuva, and all those interactions with the modes of material nature. They are what sets us up for our next incarnation. So that's, yeah, we're in this world of karma. And of course, if we are lucky enough to be blessed by our Guru Parampara and Krishna, then we actually end up pulling the plug on that karma and becoming released from all of that attachment to the senses and the mind. Anyway, it's kind of fresh in my mind because I just went through the whole thing yesterday and today, and I was reading the purports of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and actually Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj, that they are their purports in this particular Bhagavad Gita, and it makes it very easy to understand.
Jai Madhava Prabhu, our God brother, is here. Obeisances to you. Thank you so much for joining. I just finished texting Rupanuga Prabhu because I just wore him out. I talked to him for an hour and a half, and before we started this evening, and I gave him a half an hour to take rest and I said, please take a rest so you can come back and read about Govardhan Hill with us. So I don't know if I tuckered him out or not, but I just told him Jai Madhava Prabhu has come and he wants to read with you and hear from you. So I hope that will give him impetus to come. So you're next. We just finished reading Srila Prabhupada's commentary on this 9th verse, and it was only 2 paragraphs long. So if it's all right with you, Jai Madhava Prabhu, I have Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary on this 9th verse from the Upadeshamrita. Would you like to read the next paragraph?
See, the problem is I lost the page and I can't get it back. So I can see all of you, but I can't see the text.
Okay. Shikarani should be able to see this page.
Yeah.
Okay, please continue, Shikarani.
From Swah means or from in this way?
Swa.
Swa
In this way.
means
No,
Yeah,
swa, that
it's,
you
Swa
heard.
means the plane of decision making. What to do, what not to do, what I like, what I dislike. This is called Sankalpa Vikalpa. I like this, I don't like that. This is the soil of the mental world of acceptance and rejection. In this way, in this mundane world, there are different planes of existence. Bhu, Bhuva, Swa, Mahar, Jana, Tapa, and Satyaloka. The negative side includes these seven planes of life from Bhuloka up to Satyaloka, where the Creator Lord Brahma lives. The master of the whole world of experience of the negative side lives in Satyaloka. The negative side, consisting of the combination of the three modes of material nature that produces this world, finishes in Satyaloka. Then begins Viraja, the verge of the equilibrium of the negative side, the last limit of material consciousness of the three modes of material nature that produces this world, finishes in Satyaloka. Then begins Viraja, the verge of the equilibrium of the negative side, the last limit of material consciousness, and the highest position aspired for by the Buddhists. And the verge of equilibrium of the positive side is Brahmaloka, the beginning of the Lord of Service,
Land of service.
land of service. The equipoised verge of the positive world expired for by the Sankarites.
Any commentary from you? Any thoughts, reflections from you on this, Sikarani, what you just read? I'm sure you've heard of Bu Buva. That's in the Gayatri mantra, right?
Yes, yes, definitely. Bhubhuvaswa. Yes, it is the first three are in the Gayatri mantra. Om
Right.
Bhubhuvaswaha.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're constantly being subjected to this sankalpa, vikalpa. I like this, I don't like that. But in bhakti yoga, in devotional service, we're trying to transform that to Krishna likes this, so I should do this, and Krishna doesn't like that, so I won't do that. Right?
Yes, exactly. Everything for Krishna.
Yes, nothing for me, everything for the Lord.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this that I think I sent you a song and I was listening to a song where it was like about Radha and Meera, and it was like whatever you do, whether you do not get ready, whether you get ready, everything should be for Krishna. If you want to get ready, look good, do it for Krishna. If you just want to surrender everything, do it for Krishna.
That's the bottom line. That reminds me of a verse from Bhagavad Gita. You know that verse, Jaimadava Prabhu? Yat karoshi yadashnasi yaj... What is it? Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjasi
Toshi Tatasiya.
yat yat tapasyasi konteya tat kurushvamararpanam. All that you do, all that you offer, all that you give away, as well as all the austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. Any comment on that, Jaimadava Prabhu?
Uh, Not at the moment. Thank you.
Okay,
I
sure.
agree.
Okay, so next in line, who's next in line after reading after um Chikarani is okay, Arjuna can't read and Anne is always invited to read, but she's very um mysterious. She never reads. Okay, but at least she listens. Okay, so it looks like it's back to me and then Nanda Patni and then Madhavi. Okay. Uh, then next meaning after Brahmaloka. Just for your reference point, Muhammad, Brahmaloka would be considered to be like the heavenly planets, which I guess they call paradise in Islam, right? The heaven, they call it paradise.
Yeah, that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah, so in this tradition, that's called Brahmaloka, but that's still in the material world. But then just between the material world and the spiritual world, it says then next is Shiva Loka. On that side there is Sadashiva, and he is the master of the Maya. Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. There is Shiva Loka. Shiva is a devotee of Narayan.
Devotees.
Is a devotee of Narayan, representing himself as a token of service in Vaikuntha. That is the position of Sadashiva in Shiva Loka. Sadashiva and Mahavishnu are almost one and the same. On that side, Sadashiva is the devotee, and on this side, there is Rudra. The marginal position between the serving world and the enjoying world is Shiva. That aspect that is towards the enjoying side is Rudra, and that which is towards the serving side is Sadashiva. The real position of Shiva is a very difficult thing to understand. It is marginal, two aspects combined, mainly Tyaga, sometimes Boga, and sometimes service. So Tyaga, Muhammad, means renunciation, and Boga means sense enjoyment, and sometimes service. Shiva Tattva, or the truth of Shiva, means marginal. Shiva Tattva, Guru Tattva, Dham Tattva, and Shri Vigraha Tattva, these four things are very difficult to understand. So Guru Tattva means understanding the soul's relationship with the representative of Krishna, the Guru. Dham Tattva means understanding all the intricacies of the holy places, just like, in Islam they have Mecca or Medina.
Yes.
So in the Vaishnav tradition, it's Brindavan, it's Govardhan, it's Radha Kund, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, Udupi, these places. And Sri Vigraha means the form of the Lord. In Vaishnav philosophy, Mohammed, Vigraha means the spiritual form of the Lord. I've heard that the Quran is similar to the Old Testament, that there's some things in common. Yes, okay. So I don't know if it's in the Old Testament or the New Testament that it's stated that man or woman is made in the image of God. Does it say something like that in the Quran also?
Not really, but it does say in the Bible that
Right.
man is made in the image of God. Yes.
Right, so if we're made in the image of God, that means God's form is the original form, but it's a form made of spirit. It's spiritual energy, not a bag of skin and bones and blood, like our temporary form. But the idea is, if even Christians say, and I don't know exactly what the Muslims say, but if man is made in the image of God, that means that God has a form. If we're made in his image, he has a form. And I don't think that concept is taught so much in Islam, but at least in my Christian upbringing, that I was raised with that idea: man or woman is made in the image of God. So if I'm made in God's image, that must mean that God has a form for me to be made in His image. But when we say that God is formless, it means He doesn't have a material form. His form is spirit. It's spiritual. I mean, even a sound wave has a form, right? It's very subtle, but if you have the eyes to see, or the instrument, you can see sound. Do you know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, like you can sense sound, innit? It's like sensation, yeah. You can sense sound or feel sound, or you can hear sound, like see it, like sensing it.
So the name of the Lord is also the form of the Lord, and we can sense Him in His name.
Yes, that's
How many times a day does the Muslims pray? 5 times?
5, yes, 5 times, yes.
Well, our philosophy says we should pray 24 hours a day, not 5 times. Every minute. We should be chanting the Lord's name. Jai Madhava, do you have anything to add, Prabhu?
It's interesting that can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
It's interesting you make that point that in the Christian Bible, right, it states that we're made in the image of God, but you know, I was raised Roman Catholic, and when they showed us God in the catechism in grade school, it was some type of person sitting on a chair, and in the place of his face was a bright light. So you know, they teach us that we're made in the image of God, but at the same time they're teaching us impersonalism, like we don't even know what he looks like. I mean, it's like they say one thing, but they teach another thing. It's
good point.
It's, you know what I mean? No, because I was raised my whole life Roman Catholic, and then or they backtrack and say, oh well, you know, God is a person. Yeah, it's Jesus. Oh, wait a minute. You know, they kind of mix things up.
We thought he was the son of God. He says he sits on the right hand side of his father. So how can he be God?
No, but they say both. They contradict themselves. They say, well, he's the son of God, but then he's God. Well, wait a minute. How can you be both? Hello. And when you ask them, here's the thing is, when you ask them, you got them. They can't answer. You got them. They just kind of freeze up and they can't even answer the question. They usually get angry. No, I had this conversation with my relatives. My father's brother was a ordained Catholic priest, and my aunt was a nun. And they used to come up to me when I was a brahmachari back in the 70s and say, "Michael, come back to Jesus." And my answer was, "I never left." And they just couldn't answer. What do you mean, come back? I never left.
Or sometimes I would say, well, Jesus says through me you can come to know the Father. So why don't you come to me? Because I'll take you to the Father that Jesus is talking about.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's just like you know, all these things are in other scriptures, but they're so vague that people just totally totally turns into impersonalism. In the name of personalism, they're impersonalists.
Right. Good point. Everybody, Jai Madhava Prabhu has come all the way from Siberia, Russia to be with us. Isn't that amazing?
Hare Krishna.
In Russia. The snow is now melting.
Really?
Last week we had a snowstorm, and it's like, what, April? This is
crazy. Anyway, Nanda Patni, I think, didn't I just finish reading? Is it your turn now, Nanda Patni?
I think you just read, yeah.
Yes, so please continue. I just finished reading about Shiva Loka, right? And I was talking about Vigraha Tattva. So after Shiva Loka,
we find Vaikuntha Loka, the land made known to the world by Sri Ramanujacharya. In that area of the Paravyoma, there are so many Vaikunthas in so many different phases of the pastimes of Lord Narayan, who resides in the center. And then there's Ayodhya with Ramachandra. Lakshmi Narayan are in Vaikuntha, the plane of worship with splendor and grandeur. But Ayodhya is better than Vaikuntha. Why? In Ayodhya, there's the first introduction of the Vatsalya Ras. The variegated nature of Ananda is not to be found in the Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, there is no father or mother of either Narayan or Lakshmi Devi, but Vatsalya Ras, Sakya Ras, and Madhurya Ras, in the real sense, may not be found there in Ayodhya. Madhurya Ras is not distributed there extensively. Only Sita is there, Ramachandra's affectionate wife. And there also Ramachandra is under the pressure of niti, moral laws.
any reflections from you, Nanda Patni, on this? It's interesting, isn't it?
It's quite involved, especially to anyone who's not familiar with the philosophy. But suffice it to say that in the spiritual realms, there are all these sort of gradations, and there are different personalities in these different realms. There are
And
these,
relationships.
yeah, different expansions of Krishna and different plenary expansions of Krishna, because Krishna has so many different incarnations and expansions. And it's kind of sometimes described as like, a lotus flower where you get to the very, very middle after all the petals, which is this very intimate world, which he's talking about in the last few lines here, Madhurya Ras. But, this is a paragraph where, in many ways, you would have to go through with a fine-tooth comb and sort of, understand the different areas that he's talking about.
We're just getting the overview right now.
Yeah, which he's presenting as quite complex. He's giving
Yes.
about one paragraph. He's giving you,
Jam-packed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's like a zip file.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, Madhavi, would you like to continue, please?
Dwarka is between Ayodhya and Mathura. There we find Krishna being worshipped in different rasas. Krishna is with many queens in Dwarka, and the devotees are serving him in different ways. Unlike Ramachandra, he is free and not controlled by the laws of this world, where he has to sacrifice even his heart and the truth to the false opinions of his subjects. He is free in Dwarka, and the prospects for his Leela are also of a variegated nature. Madhurya Ras is also there in Dwarka, but it is not fully represented. Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, but he is aspiring after the sweet, playful stage of Vrindavan. Krishna in Dwarka is conscious of his Leela in Vrindavan, but he can't go there. He has self-imposed duties and engagements. He feels in his heart that I was very happy when I was playing during my youth in Vrindavan, but now duty does not allow me time for this.
Okay, who's reading next? Let's see. Okay, Jai Madhava, you're not able to see the screen.
No, I can't see the
So
text. I was
then
able to
it'll
see the
have-
text. It disappeared.
Sikarani, you're next, and then it has to come back to me. Okay, from Dwarka,
Should I read?
please.
Yeah.
Okay. From Dwarka, we come to Mathura Mandala. There we find Krishna to be more comprehensive, more free and autocrat, and free from the contamination of grandeur and politics. Krishna's birth ceremony is found in Mathura, not in Vaikuntha or Dwarka. So Mathura is better because service of a higher type can be found there. By the measurement of rasa, Mathura holds a superior position because the rasa is more variegated there. The measurement of high and low is according to the rasa, the actual measurement of the ecstasy that can be felt by the servitors. There are various conceptions of Krishna. Dwarika Krishna is there, Mathura Krishna is there, but the highest conception of Krishna is Krishna in Vrindavan. Vrindavan Krishna doesn't care for Mathura and Dwarika. Vrindavan is above Dwarika and Mathura. In Dwarika and Mathura, Krishna is a political man. The Krishna of Mathura is different to the Krishna of Vrindavana. We must always remember this. In Vrindavana, there is a free love, free faith. There Krishna is in a playful mood, playing freely in very plain place where his friends are also of a similar nature. He doesn't show any gorgeous, kindly style. All
Kingly.
these kingly style. All these Krishnas are both one and different. That is achintya bheda, distinction and non-distinction. There is a difference in function and mood. Within the Krishna conception, we find so much variety according to his temperament and satisfaction. It is inconceivable. The unified and differentiated character of reality is inconceivable. Its secret is in the hand of the supreme power. It doesn't depend upon our whim. Still, the differentiated character of the absolute will be seen differently according to the subjective relationship we have with him.
Thank you. Malanam Mashanir Nirnam Naravara Strinam Smaro Murtiman Gopinam Swajano Satam Kshitibujam Shashta Svapitro Shishu Mrityura Boja Pater Virat Avidusam Tattvam Param Yoginam Vrishninam Paradevati Viditorangam Gata Sagrajaha. And this is coming from the 10th canto, 43rd chapter, 17th verse of the Bhagavatam. When Sri Krishna entered the arena with his brother Balaram, he was regarded by the spectators in different ways. The wrestlers considered him to be like a thunderbolt. The men thought of him as the best of men. To the ladies, he appeared to be the god of love personified. The cowherd men looked upon Krishna as their own kinsman. The vassal kings. What does vassal mean, Nandapatni? Vassal, Vassal.
I should know, but I can't think.
Can you look it up, or can someone
Yeah,
look up?
sure. Yeah.
The vassal kings saw him as a great chastiser. His parents saw him as their most beloved child. Kangsa, the king of the Bhoja dynasty, perceived him as death personified. The foolish saw Krishna as the universal form. To the yogis, he appeared to be the indwelling supersoul. To the members of the Vrishni dynasty, he appeared to be their most revered lord. Did you get a definition for vassal?
Yeah, it's like kind of subsidiary, a person or a country in a subordinate position to another. So they're sort of like lesser kings, if you will.
Okay. The kings under the emperor, maybe. Something like that.
Yeah, kind of.
Your turn. When Krishna was entering the arena, Nandapani.
When Krishna was entering the arena to meet with Kamsa, different persons saw him in different ways. It was the same Krishna entering, but different classes of people were looking at him, but seeing him in different ways. But they are one and the same Krishna. That is also possible. According to their adhikar, they saw him differently. Some saw him as a foe, some saw him as a friend, some saw him as their son, some as a politician, and some as a king. In this way, there were persons of different categories, and according to their own position, they were seeing him differently. Krishna satisfies everyone. Even animals in Vrindavan become ecstatic when they come in connection with Krishna.
Thank you. Barhapidam natavaravapul karnayo karnikaram bibradvasakanakapisham vajayantim chamalam randran venuradara sudaya purayan gopa vrindavanyan swapadaramanam pravishad gita kirtihi. In case you're wondering, Mohammed, this is Sanskrit. Maybe you already knew that. And Madhavi, would you like to read the translation, please?
With his head adorned with peacock feather, blue karnikara flowers on his ears, wearing yellow garments as bright as gold, and the Vaijayanti garland around his neck, that best of dancers, Sri Krishna, entered the forest of Vrindavan and beautified it with the marks of his lotus feet. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, as the cowherd boys sang his glories.
That's a short paragraph. Would you like to read the next one?
Krishna in Vrindavan differs from Krishna in Govardhan. In Vrindavan, there is free mixing by Krishna without any hesitation in connection with other camps of the gopis. That is a general rasa lila. At Govardhan, there are only selected groups. Both the camp of Radharani and Chandravali are to be found there. But our need is the exclusive group, the group of Radharani.
Wow, would you like to explain that, Madhavi? This is getting way above my head.
Well, I can't say it's not above my head either, but I know that we follow Radharani, and Chandravali is like an adversary to Radharani, but it's a transcendental
Right.
adversarial.
Yeah, and just for your sake, Muhammad, gopis are Krishna's cowherd friends. They're the milkmaids of Vrindavan, and Krishna has a very intimate relationship, but it's nothing like the lust of this material world. It's how would you explain it to a newer comer, Madhavi? The love of the gopis with Krishna.
Well, the gopis love Krishna so much that although it's called conjugal, it's not for their self-sense gratification, it's to please Krishna's senses. But it's a constant competition where Krishna also loves the gopis so much that he's also trying to please the gopis. And they each compete trying to please each other more and more. But Krishna's pleased by all the different interactions of the different types of girlfriends that he's associating with. So that's why we have Radharani and Chandravali, and they have different flavors of relationships with him.
Mohammed, you're hearing the topmost aspects of spirituality. I mean, you may not be able to assimilate it all at this point. I mean, I certainly am not. But just by hearing about it, we become purified. Why don't you just finish this section, Madhavi?
Radha Kund is only for the selected group of Radharani, not for any other. Rupa Goswami has mentioned this. Radha Kund is the highest position where only Radharani and her own confidential group approach to serve Krishna, and Krishna, in his full-fledged love, comes to cooperate with her service. The highest conception of Krishna is at Radha Kund.
Nanda Patni, do you have any thoughts on what was just read?
Yeah, I guess I would just add, to someone hearing about the subject matter for the first time, is that in the Vaishnav conception, when we return to the spiritual world, we actually have a spiritual body. And everything in the material world is a temporary and perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So when we're hearing about these different personalities and the different relationships that are being mentioned in these pages, what we're hearing about is personalities in the spiritual world who, as Gaura was saying earlier, do not have material bodies. They have their eternal spiritual personas, their bodies, their spiritual personalities, their spiritual tastes for what kind of relationship they want with the Supreme Personality, Krishna. So that's what I would like to point out, that we're reading about personalities in the spiritual world who are pure and eternal and not tainted by any of the things that trouble us in the material world.
Yes. And I've had the great fortune to have a few drops of water from the Radha Kund. Kunda, Muhammad means lake or pond. So it's a very holy place where the Supreme Lord and his most divine consort, Radharani. Rani means queen. And I explain Radha as meaning unconditional love. How does that sound, Jai Madhava? How do you like my translation?
The thing is, like, I was just thinking, the first time I went to India after Srila Prabhupada left the planet, and I went to Mayapur and Vrindavan, and I went to Radha Kund. And at least at that time, Prabhupada disciples said, Prabhupada told us to, put some drops on your head. But I was also told that you could offer your obeisances and actually walk in and walk out respectfully. So I actually did that. I went in completely, not jumping.
Wow.
I submerged myself in. And the thing is, now, okay, I'm 68 years old. I joined ISKCON when I was 20. When I read stuff like this and I hear devotees discussing Radha Kund, and of course, I lived in India for 5 years. I lived in Vrindavan for 1 year. It's incomprehensible. I just want to make a comment. It's incomprehensible, even to devotees, what Srila Prabhupada gave us.
Mm-hmm.
It's just right off the charts. What, I mean, I've been a devotee for so long. Sometimes devotees take for granted what we have, but if you just reflect and think about it, it's just unbelievable what Prabhupada gave us.
Mhm.
And the whole world. It's just nobody else has done that. Nobody. There's nobody else. And I'm not bad mouthing other gurus and other mutts. But
Right.
the fact is, nobody did what Prabhupada did. Nobody got on a boat and suffered heart attacks, went to New York with no money, brought us Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, gave us the society of the devotees as a, you're my family for the rest of my life.
Right.
To take shelter of from all the other garbage that I was raised in America. And it just, and here I'm in Russia with the Russian devotees who are sincere, So it's just mind-boggling what Prabhupada has given us. And if anyone comes in contact with devotees and you can glimpse into what we have been given, it's not a contradiction to any other religious faith, whether it's Christian or Muslim. Prabhupada's just given us the highest thing. Lord Chaitanya has given us the most mercy to the most fallen. It's incomprehensible.
And the only thing that he wants from us in repayment for that is that we give Krishna to others. That's all he asks.
Yeah, which is what I really appreciate what you're trying to do here, and I try to do it where I am. Encourage the devotees here.
Yes, thank you for caring for the Siberian devotees there, the Russian devotees. Srila Prabhupada said there's no question of the disciple ever repaying the spiritual master for...
It's impossible.
But Prabhupada said, if you want to try, then preach vigorously, just as I am doing. He said like that. Give Krishna vigorously. Be enthusiastic. So Sikarani's next up, and this is an interesting section here. It's entitled Vaikuntha is to be eliminated. Sikarani.
Yeah. Vaikuntha is to be eliminated. The land of dedication begins from Vaikuntha and ends in Vrindavana. Vaikuntha is calculative and Vrindavana is spontaneous and irresistible. Raghunath Dasa Goswami says that if we have too much attraction for the laws of Vaidhi Bhakti and Sanstrika rules, we will be thrown down into the Paravyoma to Vaikuntha. Then we won't be able to keep our position in Vrindavana, where everything is spontaneous. We won't be allowed to take our position in the land of freedom, where spontaneous love is the queen and is regulating the whole thing. She will throw us down to Vaikuntha. Go there. Do your duty according to scripture, according to calculation created by grandeur, awe, and reverence. Go there. Only the simple, plain, and spontaneous hearty service of the Lord reigns here in Vrindavana, and we are in the midst of that thing. We do not care for any other thing, only for the object of our love. That is our guide, that is our Shastra, that is everything. We do not know anything more, and we do not want to know anything more. No necessity of any scriptural direction is found in Vrindavana. My direction is Krishna. What law will come in between? A law will say, oh, you only did this much, so don't go this way. What is this? I must give my whole heart as much as I can to command to my Lord and to those who are running to serve him in that nature. There is no law, no scripture, no good will of the environment, of the society, so-called relatives, and also the ways that have been recommended by the Shastra. You should do this, you should not do that. That may be in the case of worldly matters, but not in our dealings to Krishna. That is spontaneous, that is automatic.
Thank you. Vijay Garanga, yay. Thank you for coming tonight. Could you read the next section, please? Vijay Garanga Prabhu. Vijay Garanga Prabhu and I go way back to, I think it was 1979, Vijay Garanga, when you showed up at the Hare Krishna temple on Avenue Road in Toronto.
Yeah, slightly into the 80s, 82.
Okay, close enough.
No
Just
worries.
after Jivan Mukta.
Yeah, he was my Bhakta leader at one point. Also,
Oh wow, cool. That's the
Yeah.
disciplic succession.
It
Okay.
works. It really works. And I have been tuning in the last this week. I just haven't been on Zoom. I was on Facebook, and I've just been so crazy busy. So
I just did a really great session with Rupanuga Prabhu this afternoon, just me and him, for about an hour and a half, and I highly recommend hearing it. So
will
please
check it out.
continue. Therefore, Vaikuntha.
Therefore, Vaikuntha is to be eliminated, and even Ayodhya and Dwarka. I'm not sure what we're reading. It sounds like Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj.
Yeah, that's right. This is because we finished reading Prabhupada's verse number 9 about Govardhan Hill and Mathura, and then Vaikuntha, higher than that is Mathura, higher than Mathura is Govardhan, and so forth. Radhakund.
I love his writing.
Yeah.
Elimination of the highest is going on cautiously and with reverence. What can I do? My fate is connected in Vrindavan. My inner hankering is for that type of service. Forgive me. Raghunath Das Goswami says that when the inner attraction is coming towards Madhurya Ras, he is reluctant to go there. I'm not very good at Sanskrit, or Bengali.
Okay. Sakyayate mananamo stu nityam dasyayate mamaraso stu satyam.
I continually offer my respects to your confidential service. My sincere inclination is to go towards the lower service, which from Vilap Kusmanjali 16. The attraction for the highest class, I am not fit for that. This should be our temperament. I shall try my best to stick with the friendly circle. Sakyaras, I'm afraid that it may entice me in a false way. I have no such great fortune in me, no ambition. Even in that world, no ambition. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. It is not an exaggeration. It's the real thing. We should find this sort of substance within us, and then we are safe. We are then in a good position. We are in a good position. We must not think ourselves very high, that we have already attained that spontaneous flow. In our position, we must try to give some respect. Pujala Ragapat. Gaurava Bange. We should always keep that on our heads. We shall roam about in the Shastrika area, but our gurus, our superiors, our aspirations should always be kept on our head. I am not in such a big position, so I must show some respect for the Shastras, etc. Otherwise, if we think that whatever we do in the name of Krishna is all right, then we will go to hell.
Wow. So this saying, Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bange, that we should, keep the highest aspects of service to Krishna, like Raganuga Bhakti above us, that, it's something to aspire to, not take it cheaply. This is found as you enter into the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat in Navadvip, across from the Mayapur temple. As you enter into Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj's temple, Jai Nityalila's come all the way from Pakistan. Hare Krishna, welcome back. So yeah, just above the gate there, this saying is there. What is it? Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bange. And Srila Prabhupada started something called the Bhaktivedanta Charity Trust, in which he wanted to help renovate all the holy places, the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nilambara Chakravarti Thakur, Mother Sachi's birthplace, Silate, etc., Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's, place of birth, etc. But the first place that Prabhupada renovated was Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj's temple in Navadvip. So, and there's photos of Prabhupada going there and paying his obeisances to the deities. So, yes, that's Prabhupada's dear friend, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. So, yay, Nityalila's here. That's fantastic. Would you like to read Nityalila?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so there you go. Pujala Pata.
Pujana Raga Patra Gaurava Bhange. We must retain our connection with a Samsika society, Sastrika society as far as possible, and we will always give appreciation, reverence, and love for the higher area. We ourselves may not put that into practice, but our appreciation should always be towards that which is beyond the law. Krishna is above law. Krishna and Krishna's devotees are above the law, but we are not yet in the category. That should be our general temperament. Pujala Raga Patha Patha Kaurava Bhange. In this way, development in the theistic area has been shown to us, and we are fortunate enough that we can appreciate in a gradual progression these things given by Mahaprabhu, Bhagavatam, and Goswami Shastra.
Thank you, Nichilila. Do you have any reflections on what you just read?
Yeah, I mean, it is again reiterating the facts that Guru Shastra and Sadhu we need to depend upon and rely upon, and nothing else is more important or superior than Krishna or any law or any other obligations. That is a point we are making.
Thank you. Jai Madhava Prabhu, in hearing this section, do you have some thoughts?
I have a thought I want to share, and you can give
Great.
me your opinion. You can correct me. One thing I've noticed, it's kind of like it's happened to devotees everywhere. I've noticed that what we're reading about being this, always being humble and being the servant of the servant of the servant. Not only this is not being repeated enough, but some devotees have outright forgotten this. It's not a criticism, it's an observation that I've made that really, which reminds me why when, at least in the days when we were living in the temples, that we were constantly reading Prabhupada's books and just repeating this over and over and over and over. And, you'd like walk around even after the morning program, you could walk around the temple grounds, whatever temple you lived in. And every time you met a god brother, please accept my humble obeisances, head to feet, please accept my humble obeisances. I mean, it's all these little things that we were taught, that we practiced, I have seen literally vanish.
Uh-huh.
It kind of like, it de-emphasizes in the devotees' minds without them even realizing it, that we're really insignificant, no matter, even if we raise in the corporate ladder or get some position within a society, or that we're actually the servant of the servant of the servant. It's because we're conditioned souls, it's easy to forget that.
Thank you.
We have to keep.
I'd like to clarify for Nitya Leela and Mohammed, just in case they're not fully getting what you're saying. I remember the mood that Jai Madhava Prabhu is describing, that as young devotees back in the 70s, that's the era, at least, that Jai Madhava and I are coming from.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were trained that first thing in the morning, if you saw another Vaishnav, you would say, please accept my respectful obeisances, and then you'd bow down on your knees to the ground with your head to touching the floor, and you say this Vaishnav pranam, Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva patitanang pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, full of compassion for all the fallen conditioned souls, and who can thus fulfill everybody's wish. So that spirit of reverence was very much there, and Jai Madhava Prabhu is noticing that this is not necessarily part of the culture so much anymore.
No, it's not. No, I'll give you an example. I lived in Moscow for 20 years, and I'm a senior devotee, and I'm not expecting any respect, or I'm not trying to get attention. But, the devotees would come up to me and they would say, please accept my humble obeisances. They'd slap me on the back and keep on walking. In other words, they would say, "Please accept my humble obeisances," but they wouldn't. I'm not criticizing. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
They would say, "Please accept my humble obeisances." At the most, give you half of a hug with their arm around your shoulder, and then walk away. And I'm going, "Well, okay, where were they?" I mean, this isn't even. I mean, it was it's common. I didn't even. When I would walk into the Moscow temple, and I would see the brahmacharis, I would immediately hit the ground, and they would be embarrassed because I'm a senior devotee.
Right.
But I got to give them the example.
But you're teaching by example. Yeah.
I got to show them, hey, this is the way we were taught. I didn't want to give them a hard time, but hello, anybody home? Did you forget the basics, what we were taught? Because all these things that Prabhupada taught us, not just the Shastra that you're reading, this is all integral to our remaining humble of what our true position is that we're fallen and we're the servants of the servant of the servant of Krishna. But we have to practice all these little things that Prabhupada integrated into our training when we joined the movement. It's not insignificant. You start taking stuff out, it changes devotees' mentality.
So I'd like to respond to you, Prabhu. I've been in touch with Mahatma Prabhu quite a bit lately. He's an initiating guru in our ISKCON. And he was expressing to me how he needs help. He has a few hundred disciples around the world, but he's really grateful when his godbrothers take responsibility to help somebody, because the Diksha Guru cannot always be where his disciples are. So there's been, I think, a big lack in Diksha Gurus and Shiksha Gurus working together to help care for all the new devotees in ISKCON. So therefore, for instance, Nitya Leela got initiated by Bhakti Raghava Swami a couple years ago, I think now. Correct, Nitya Leela?
Last year.
Yeah, but it's not like she's seeing him every day, that she's getting all kinds of details on how to become a more refined Vaishnavi. So she depends upon, other more experienced devotees. I'd like to hear from my god sisters, Nandapatni and Madhavi, on the point that you just made. Jai Madhava Prabhu, my god sisters, you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Well, just that I can affirm that is how we grew up. I mean, one was making full obeisances to the ground many times a day. Many times a day was my memory. It was
at least 10. That's a fact.
Yeah, it was extraordinary, really. But it was our life, and it wasn't rote. It was quite heartfelt when one did this, and it was as if you were actually really making contact with that other Vaishnava. You were saying to them, when you did this, when you asked them if you could please offer your obeisances to them, you were making this very strong connection with this person and saying, I've identified you, and I want to honor you, and I want to get your mercy, if you will. That's the way we were sort of operating with other Vaishnavas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
Madhavi, you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I don't know quite when it was lost, but I remember some years ago wondering what happened to that, because it was actually a wonderful experience to be always offering our obeisances to each other. And it wasn't like a demeaning feeling.
No.
It was a feeling of just wanting to be part of this wonderful community of devotees.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss it.
Me too. Yes, we have an opportunity tonight before we finish for our obeisances.
I'd like to make a comment, please.
Yes.
I didn't say that for fault finding.
No.
I say that as I've been a devotee since I joined ISKCON in 1975, and I've been associating with them. I was a brahmachari for 13 years. Even though I lived outside the movement in the late 80s, I still associated very strongly with the movement. I never joined any other group. The point is, I'm watching ISKCON, whether it's in America or Canada or in Russia, and I've seen the things that Prabhupada taught us when we joined in the 70s as Prabhupada disciples. I think all these different things have become, they've vanished almost,
Yeah.
literally, seriously. And
Yeah.
that's very serious to me. It's not a light thing.
Yeah, and that's why some devotees have started. Well, I think Jayadvaita Swami might have been the first to start kirtan reform class, because, like, for example, at the end of the Nrsingadev prayers, some devotees have started chanting Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta. We never chanted Jaya Bhakta Prahlad at the time of Prahlad. Jaya Bhakta Prahlad is the name of a Hindi movie.
Yeah, right. No, when I was living in Moscow for 20 years, I would go to the kirtans in the temple room, and the younger Russian devotees are leading the kirtan in front of the deities, which is fine. I sat there with the kartal and joined them, but I noticed that too many, and I'm watching this for 20 years. I noticed too many times they would give an hour kirtan or 30-40 minute kirtan. The person who was leading kirtan, sincere devotee, but he never began the kirtan what Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Sai Namaste what. They didn't give the pranams to Prabhupada, and I was like, I had to stop it and said, hello,
Yeah,
you have to put this first, but it's still going on like that. I still have to keep doing that.
Achyutananda Prabhu told me, because he's the one that gave the songs of the Vaishnavacharyas to our ISKCON devotees, and he said that a kirtan properly begins with pranams to the spiritual master. That's how you begin a kirtan.
Yeah, but it's like I said, I've seen it being forgotten completely, and not on purpose, but just bad training.
So the young devotees, they have an opportunity to take advantage of hearing from the older time devotees, because we're not going to be around for very much longer, and then they're going to be like, Dvija Garanga Prabhu, you have a thought to share?
Yeah.
Dvija?
You guys have said it all. I also, it was still happening when I was there. I think it's the essence of satsanga to make a connection. Hasnichalila, or I forget who said, but to make that, it felt good. You're making a connection with another sincere soul, and that's got to be the essence of sangha.
Yes. Yeah, you see, Mohammed, when we as Krishna devotees, as Vaishnavas, when we pay our respects to another Vaishnav, and we're bowing our head down to the ground, not only are we honoring the individual soul, but we're also honoring the Param Atma, that the Lord Himself incarnates within the heart of every living entity. There's the individual soul, the Jiva Atma, and there's the Param Atma. So we're bowing also to the Lord within the heart of every living entity, and also on that practitioner. I remember there's one godbrother. He's still in our Toronto temple. I should visit him sometime, because he got a stroke some years back in the 80s. His whole body became paralyzed, and then he got back half the function of his body. He got colitis, and he was just total traction. His name is Dharma Prana Prabhu, old book distributor. And when he was in good shape back in the day, and I was Bhakta Glenn, and he was Dharma Prana, I'd see him at Chicago Temple, and he would offer his obeisances to me quicker before I could offer my obeisances to him. And I would feel embarrassed, because I'm thinking, this is a senior devotee. He's offering obeisances to me. I'm just a junior. I should be offering them first to him. It's not that he should be. And so whenever I see him, I jump to the floor. But a lot of times he would beat me to it. So it became kind of like not exactly like a transcendental game, where we would compete. Who could offer obeisances first to that other devotee? Go ahead, Jai Madhav.
I'd like to make a point. I met devotees in 1971 when I was in high school. I was like a teenager, around 17, and I didn't actually finally surrender until July 1975, when Prabhupada came to the Philadelphia temple. Then I literally shaved up and moved in. But the thing that really blew me away was I already knew Prabhupada disciples for many years, but I was just Bhakta Michael. I mean, I was new, surrendering, and I have these Prabhupada disciples, or who are all initiated, coming up to me and offering their obeisances to me. I mean, it just does something to you that really touches your heart, that of what we're trying to practice, humility and respecting other devotees, and like the other God sister was saying, you would be in a temple back in the 70s when when it was all Prabhupada disciples, and at least 10 or 12 times a day you would be stopped by somebody, and you would have to offer your obeisances, whether in the temple or whether it was the prasadam room or was in the ashram or whether it was outside. Instead of saying hello, they would, please accept my humble obeisances, boom. I mean, it was just
Right.
It was normal. It was normally
Right.
practiced.
In other words, instead of saying, "How are you?" or "How's it going?"
Exactly.
Please accept my respectful obeisance.
Yeah, we were spiritualized by Srila Prabhupada's training, and that's very powerful stuff. It might sound like it's inconsequential, but all the things that Prabhupada gave us, even the small details, if you start taking that stuff away, that's not good.
Yeah, we're watering down the process. We're losing the culture.
All the details are extremely important. I mean, I didn't give the devotees in Moscow a hard time when they came up to me and said, please accept my humble obeisances, Jaya Madhava, slapped me on the back and kept on walking. I didn't get angry. I didn't chastise them. But I thought, well, is this where it's going?
Lack of training, education.
And these are senior devotees doing this to me.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's good we're talking about it. Bonnie, thank you very much for coming. This is your first time that you've come. Do you have any thoughts on anything that we're discussing? Or did you just walk in just now? Bhakti and Bonnie is here from Boston. Boston Bonnie.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I didn't just walk in just now, but I've been listening since about when you started reading Eliminate Vaikuntha.
Oh, great. Okay. Any thoughts any reflections from you this evening?
I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be in your association, and it's a pleasure to have an ear into a conversation. There used to be a very strict in the Boston temple. They were always doing the kirtan with the start of Prabhupada Pranam when I was going there for some years. So it was going nicely for quite a long time, the way that Prabhu was describing it should.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully you can help to preserve that.
Well, maybe in the future.
Yeah, I see there's a few comments here in the chat box. Mohammed says the Hare Krishna devotees in Birmingham are planning to start an ahimsa farm in Sutton, Coldfield, which is the next door town to Birmingham. I hope these succeed. Good news, Mohammed. Thank you for informing us. Maybe you can help them. How can Jesus be God and the Son of God? That's what the Muslims believe. The Muslims believe that Jesus can be God and the Son of God at the same time?
No. That what I mean is that's not what you mentioned earlier. It's a famous question what Muslims ask to the Christians. Well, how is Jesus God and the Son of God at the same time? That's the famous questions Muslims ask.
Right. But the Muslims don't know that Allah is a coward boy, and he's bluish, and he has many boyfriends that he plays leapfrog with in the forest. He has 900,000 cows. He's got lots of milkmaid girlfriends, and he has a mother and a father, Yashoda and Nanda. I mean, the Vaishnav scriptures, they go, with all due respect to the Holy Prophet Muhammad and the Holy Quran. As Christ said, I have so much more to tell you, but you cannot bear it now. And similarly, if we look at the laws of Muhammad, I mean, he's asking people, to basically follow some moral principles, right? Don't have relations with your mom and your sister, and some of these basic principles are being given there. But if God is unlimited, then knowledge of God must also be unlimited, right?
Yeah, God's unlimited, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if Allah is Akbar, then how Akbar is Allah?
Right, yes. Although,
Yes.
although in Islam, nobody knows who God looks like physically, from our naked eye, but it's spiritual.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that information is being given in the Vedic scriptures, specifically the Vaishnav scriptures of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and corollaries like the Nectar of Instruction called the Sri Upadesha Amrita. Amrita in Sanskrit means nectar, it means immortality, and Upadesh means instruction. So we're receiving instructions on the nectar of immortality. We covered the 9th verse tonight. We just have 2 more verses to complete in this book. And also in the chat section, Nandapatni is mentioned. These are subtle philosophical points that are explained in our scriptures. It is described as simultaneously one and different, namely, Christ is an expansion of his Father and honored as is his Father. Yes, Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, said, one cannot love Lord Jesus Christ without loving his Father, Lord Krishna. And one cannot love the Father, Lord Krishna, without loving his Son, Lord Jesus, or Lord Muhammad, for that matter. You cannot love one and hate the other. Even more dear than being loved himself, the Lord wants us to love his prophets and his devotees, his servants. Like there's this saying, if you love me, love my dog. If you're nice to someone's dog, then they're going to like you, right? Because their dog is their object of affection, right? And if you say, oh, what a lovely dog, is that a purebred or whatever, like, oh wow, this person likes my dog, then I really like him, right?
It's also the principle of half a hen logic.
From the opinion of who?
The half a hen logic. Remember that from the Chaitanya Charitamrita? If you
Explain
like Lord Chaitanya, but you don't want to so much that you're not so attracted to Lord Nityananda, that's not going to get you anywhere. Not anywhere good.
Yeah, we can't love the Lord without loving his devotees.
Sevya Bhagavan and Sevaka Bhagavan.
Thank you. And Bonnie says, God is everywhere at one time. He is inconceivable. He can do and be anything. Yes, he can come as a burning bush, but he can also come as a most handsome. I just came across a YouTube the other day. I'm sorry, I don't want to bring this down to the mundane platform, but I'm just going to make an analogy. I saw a little bit of a biography on Michael Jackson. And, I've never been I remember the Jackson 5 when I was a kid, they were just like starting up. But I didn't realize that he went on to become this mega superstar. And I was watching the emotion on the faces of the women and even the men. And it reminded me of, Beatlemania. And people were crying and just just hoping to get a glance from him and, watching his every move, his moonwalk, etc., etc. Or if he threw something out in the audience, people were clawing at each other. And I was thinking, Michael Jackson was, he was just reflecting some of the qualities of Krishna. Good dancer. Like Krishna's the supreme dancer, right? He's called Nataraj. And Michael Jackson studied Fred Astaire and James Brown and Jackie Wilson and all these fancy dancers. So he became a good dancer, singer, etc. And Quincy Jones Orchestra there backing him up, and he became like Krishna for a lot of people. You know what I mean? They were like worshiping him. I'm just looking at it. I'm thinking, wow. And he dies as a homicide by his doctor because his hair got caught on fire while during the what do they call it, pyrotechnics, when they're shooting off lights and fire on stage. His whole head got on fire, and so he had to get an operation. He had to take painkillers, and thus he overdosed and left his body. And I'm thinking, wow, what's the value of all that? Becoming like a tiny little fragment of emanating some of the tiny emanation of the attractive qualities of Krishna, perverted reflection. and your head gets set on fire, and you have to go on painkillers, and you leave your body at 50 years old. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
every-
Krishna warns about that I was just reading it today that these really bad qualities like lust, pride, avarice, greed, self-obsession, that they actually end up taking you to hell. I mean, Krishna directly, warns of this. He describes the very things that are going to have you descend and the things that are going to have you ascend.
Even Quincy Jones, who helped to make Michael Jackson what he is, he's a man of God. He said, you got to be prepared for fame. He said, because when fame comes, if you are not like in some way like connecting your fame with God, that he said that ultimately it'll be a ruination. It'll destroy you. Your own fame. Well, and I was surprised. I'm hearing this from like a big music producer, and he got it, and that's why he's 85 years old and he's still producing music, and he's in the industry. Of course, he ends up suing Michael Jackson for $9 million because he didn't get the royalties that he thought that. But it shows them like father and son, and Quincy Jones was the father that Michael Jackson never had because his dad used to beat him all the time. But in the end, the music producer is suing his star for $9 million because he didn't get back what he thought. So, we're looking for Krishna, but we shouldn't be looking at Michael Jackson for Krishna.
Well, look at George Harrison.
Yes,
George
this shows.
Harrison hated his fame.
Sorry?
George Harrison hated the fame.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He even put a barbed wire fence around Henley on the Thames where he lived, 125-room mansion, but still some maniac broke through, and he knifed George in the throat. And George's wife Olivia had to take the candle, not candle, but the lamp.
Lampshade. Lamp, yeah.
Smash the murderer on the head. So all that glitters is not gold. I was in that music industry myself, and I realized I better pull out while I was still alive. Any final comments from anyone before we call it a night?
Yeah, people are looking for Krishna, but they're looking for it in the material things, which
Right.
shows that people are attracted to opulence. They're attracted to beauty. It's just misguided because they don't know. Prabhupada gave us the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the materialistic people that don't have Krishna consciousness, they're looking for Krishna too, but they don't know it. They're looking at Michael Jackson or some movie star from Hollywood. But it just shows that natural propensity for the living entity is to look for Krishna, but they don't know it.
Yeah.
So they're looking in the only things that they can see that is a material facsimile, which is the Beatles or Michael Jackson or some rock group or some Hollywood movie star. But it just shows it's our natural propensity. Everyone is naturally wanting to, worship and, be attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we're just all covered over. So Prabhupada uncovered us.
Yes. And Krishna's dancing on our bookshelves. He's like waiting to jump off our bookshelves into our heart and into our minds. He's, Vaisheshika was very kind to me when I was in Mayapur. He gave me a little device as a gift.
Receiving the knowledge, not manufacturing.
Oh, wow.
There are two parts of knowledge. There are some persons who think, oh, why should I hear from him? Oh, I can think, I can speculate, I can manufacture something new of my own.
So all 1,000 Prabhupada lectures are on this little device.
Wow, amazing.
There was a devotee that was selling this in Mayapur. And
wow.
So highly recommended. You can hear the Srila Prabhupada 24/7. You just charge it up, and I take it into the bathroom with me. I take it into the kitchen when I'm cooking. All the Bhagavatam, all the Chaitanya Charitamrita lectures, all the bhajans, the japa tape, you name it. It's all in this little. Krishna's in here. So, Madhavi, anything from you before we go?
Yeah, I have one of those, but it quit working. I haven't figured out how to fix it. I don't know if it's the battery, but it's wonderful thing to have. I really miss it.
So, sometimes in the city they have groups that will do like what am I thinking of? What's it called? You don't pay. It's like an exchange. Or like some people, they just know how to fix stuff, electronic stuff, and they'll do it for free. Um, it's like a time bank. You know, if you give an hour of your time to someone, they'll give you an hour of their time. Some communities which are into sustainability, you can find those people. So I hope you find someone.
Yeah, eventually, when Krishna's ready, he'll let me have it back.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I'm very grateful for everyone's association tonight. I sometimes when only three or four come, then I feel, oh, I guess I must have
Nice.
offended someone. But we had like a really full house tonight. We had someone named Flanagan here that was earlier, but they had to go. And some last comments here from Mohammed. I bumped into Boy George in London once by accident. He was dancing with the Hare Krishnas in London. I took a coach trip to London for the day. London is about 100 miles away from Birmingham. And Nandapatni says, yes, Boy George was very involved with the devotees for years. Anyone who gets to chant gets a great benediction in this life. Yeah, actually, George, what's his name? Boy George, he was addicted to heroin, but when he started chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, that helped him to kick the heroin habit. So that's one story I heard.
Can I make a comment, please?
Yeah.
Once in America, Srila Prabhupada's disciples made a program I think it was in a rented hall. You know, not in the temple, but in a, I don't know where this was exactly, but I'm telling you the facts. I just don't know all the details. Anyway, they made a program for people to come. They advertised Prabhupada was giving a lecture, and the devotees.
Oh, yes.
It was like an auditorium and a stage.
Yeah.
And when the time came and Prabhupada arrived, and it was just like this one time, practically the auditorium was empty, and the devotees were shattered because they went way out of their way to advertise, to invite people to come, and the devotees were there. But as far as other people that they were trying to get, it was almost empty. And Prabhupada said, and I'm paraphrasing, it's okay. We can preach to the walls. In other words, nothing's a waste of time in our Krishna consciousness. So if 100 people come, great. If 2 people come, great. If 10 people come, we're not wasting our time. Just to encourage you.
Yes, surely.
Thank you for coming, Shikarani. Yes, and another time when devotees organized a program for Prabhupada to speak, and hardly anybody came. Prabhupada said, "Oh, you didn't see Narada Muni?"
Exactly. Yeah.
Vyasadeva was there. Shukadev Goswami.
Yeah.
So to this day, at 10 Soho Street, on the second floor there in London, of the Labrada London Ishvara Temple, above the Govinda's restaurant, they have little seats. One for Narada Muni, and I think the other one is for Vyasadeva, because Prabhupada said that they're there.
Yeah, that's a fact. I think it was Lord Brahma and Narada.
Lord Brahma, that's right. Narada and Lord Brahma. Okay, thank you for coming for the first. Sorry, go ahead, Jai Madhava. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
My humble obeisance to you and all the devotees.
Yeah, and I want to especially thank Mohammed for coming for the first time, and Bhakti and Bani, and thanks a lot for taking time off from your cow seva, Madhavi and Vijaygaranga. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gauradas, for hosting this. It's very relishable.
I do it because I get lonely out here in this little hick town all by myself. So I'm begging all of your association and Nityalila. Huh?
You're complaining about being alone in Canada. I'm the only Prabhupada disciple in Russia.
Yeah, but
for God's sake,
you probably get to dance with 10 or 20 devotees in the temple. So
that's there. That's true.
You're still blessed, and Nityalila is coming all the way from Pakistan. So special extra Krishna points for her. Thanks a lot for joining us again, Krishna Nityalila. Thank you. And so, yeah, we'll resume the Krishna book. We're gradually coming to the end of the Krishna book. We have 2 more readings from this Nectar of Instruction. And then we could either start Shirsha Upanishad or Nectar of Devotion, whatever. Maybe we could take a vote or something, find out what everyone wants to read next. But yeah, we're going to continue with Krishna's daily activities in Dwarka. That's where we are right now, how Krishna is the perfect grahastha. He's always able to please his wives, all 16,000 at the same time. In Kali Yuga, just to please one wife, one will be a great hero.
I find it hard to please my wife.
What's that, Mohammed?
I find it hard to please my wife.
You're trying to please your wife?
Yeah, it's very hard to please my wife.
Oh, well, that's because you're not Krishna, that's why. Please accept my respectful obeisances. Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.